Hello there and welcome to another BoBeats video, and today we are checking out the BASTL Kastle 2 Wave Bard, and it's a quirky one. Just like their previous product, the Effects Wizard, it's all about experimenting with sounds, and in the case of the Wave Bard 2, it's a lot about experimenting with rhythms and samples. So let's get into it. So let's start with a little overview. We have the audio out here, or headphones out. We have audio input. We have sync in and out. You have a USB Type-C that you can use to power the device, as well as send samples to and from the device. There is a web interface for this that you can use. You can also power it using 3 AA batteries. And using the shift button, we can preview samples. And we changed the samples here with the sample knob. And as you can see, a lot of the knobs here have secondary functions. You use shift to access them. For example, you can change the filter here if you hold down shift and turn this knob here. So we have low pass and high pass. We have pitch here and volume control. We have LFO and tempo control. You can also tap tempo. We can select different banks of samples. And we also have LFO mod over here and rhythm control. And the rhythm has to do with the pattern generator over here. And you can, if I'm not mistaken, also program your own rhythms or patterns using the USB and the web interface. And then we have sample mod here, which interacts with the sample knob here, letting us change the samples. You can also change the bank using, say, an LFO here, which is kind of cool, makes it totally crazy. And there is also effects here. So basically, if you hold down shift here and turn, we get a delay on one end, and then you get some sort of, I don't remember quite, flanger chorusy types of effect. And then over here we have pitch modulation, modulating the pitch of the sample, and this can also be set to a scale. And here in the middle, we can set the length and also reverse it. I will note that one issue I've had is that the shift preview function here of the sample sometimes doesn't work reliably. I don't know exactly why. And the specs are as follows. You can have 8 samples per bank and up to 32 banks, but this is of course limited by the 89-second sample limit. So you can't have more than 89 seconds unless you are using a lower resolution for the samples. So here we have a little groove going, and what I'm doing is I'm taking the pattern output here, the gate output here from the pattern generator into the trig input. That's what's triggering the sample playback. And then we are taking the envelope output over here into the sample mod. That is what's changing the sample that is being played back. If I change the knob here, we are playing back different samples. And then I'm also modulating the pitch a little bit here using the LFO here into the pitch mod here. And why not use the LFO here to change the bank as well? And suddenly it starts to get really wonky. By pressing bank here, we get a very different sound because the starting bank is different. Okay, this is kind of cool. Sometimes you just end up with this, I don't know, totally out there sound. But the thing is that if we remove the modulation of the bank, which makes it less fun and crazy, it also makes it more predictable. So here we have more of a drum groove. Because the pitch can be quantized to a scale, you can actually make something semi-melodic with it, if you're using melodic samples, that is. So in typical BASTL fashion, it is a very crazy little device, very experimental. You can make some kind of wild things with it. But the question came into my mind, kind of how would I actually use this to make music? So I put together this little setup here. We have the Digitact 2, we have the little wave bar here, and then we have the KeyStep 37. The KeyStep 37 is just for sending clock. So it's sending MIDI here out into the Digitact 2, and then it's sending the sync signal into the wave bar here. And I thought we'd just try and make a little groove here, sample it into the Digitact and see kind of where we can take it. So let's see if we can sample this and... So here we have the little loop recorded, added on a hi-hat. Let's select an empty channel here. I've set it so that the recording starts whenever I press play here. Let's arm it and... All right, there we go. I'm gonna move stuff around a bit because this is annoying. It's a very annoying way to do things. We select new track. And now we have it over here. Okay, this is kind of fun and wonky. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure about that, but too bad for starting with this here and just, I don't know, making something. So yeah, it's kind of fun. And yes, you can load your own samples into the wavebar. You use this browser UI, which is very clean, easy to understand, and you can edit the scales and you can edit the rhythms. But of course, this little sample GROOVEBOX can't have a ton of samples in there, but it's definitely enough to make something fun, because the whole idea here is that you're experimenting with rhythms and modulations of the samples. So I think it's pretty cool, and I find the web UI very well thought out, looks nice, easy to use. So what do I think about the wavebar? Well, firstly, I am missing MIDI. when you have something that is so heavily reliant on being synced with other gear, I mean, it's basically an experimental rhythm generator, a sample GROOVEBOX. Since it doesn't have MIDI, it's just, yeah, you have to do workarounds like I did with the keystep, for example, and that's just a bit annoying. But other than that, it's been a very fun device to play with. It's in this category of like, you don't really need it, but it's kind of fun to have, and I think that goes for a lot of the BASTL products. They're small, interesting, creative devices that takes you places that you wouldn't normally go. And for some of us, that is half of the fun with hardware, that it takes us to new and exciting places. And I think that the Wavebar does that really well. Now, I wouldn't personally use it to create like melodic sequences, but I'm sure that in some styles of music, that's very possible. For me personally, it's an experimental rhythm generator. And since I don't really like to program rhythms, it actually works really well for me. I hope the example I showed you with the Digitact shows that you can actually make something with it, even though of course you need other instruments to layer on top of it. But I mean, that's just the process of making music anyway. So overall, yeah, it's a cool product and definitely worth checking out. And whether or not you should buy it, I mean, that's up to you. Do you really need another synth? I don't know. Only you can answer that. So hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon.